I want to ask, did you look at Bill Cosby as a father figure because you were around him so much, you did so much acting, like
right,
and I mean, you were a good actor, but it was believable. It seems like
at 9
you did
years
a great
old.
job.
Oh, right. No, because I my father has always been, an integral part of my life. So I have a father. He was, Mr. Cosby was obviously someone I worked with, someone I respected. But Ennis was also, a close friend of mine. So he was also like Ennis's dad.
Gotcha.
So it wasn't. I would definitely say he was a mentor because he schooled me.
Malcolm was always embracing relationships with everybody he worked with.
We can go through 300 years of history and look for all the black people that fit the description you just said.
Something you long believed to be true but realized wasn't.
Well, as one of the main opponents of the Illuminati, I always wanted to know what information they had that we didn't.
Something about Malcolm-Jamal Warner's demise just isn't sitting right. And Katt Williams is saying what everyone else is too afraid to. From industry blackballing to coded Hollywood rituals, this story goes deeper than what's being reported. Malcolm wasn't just another actor. He was principled, intentional, and way too real for the machine. So why is the industry praising him now that he's gone? Katt's been warning us, and suddenly, it's all lining up. If you think that this was just a tragic accident, think again. Stay tuned till the end, because we're unpacking all of it.
Right off the bat, the internet seemed very perplexed about how does an accidental drowning occur. I immediately thought of Matthew Perry and Whitney Houston. They had the same cause of death, so we know where that came from. No illicit behavior, nothing, no smoking gun that you can really point to other than a powerful current in the ocean while you were swimming with your family on vacation, which is like maybe the most tragic circumstance.
How does it feel, this sudden stardom?
It's great. I mean, it was nothing I was expecting. You think for a long time about how you win a series, and you never really expect it to be a big success, but no one knew it would be this big.
What do you like best about doing the Cosby?
Something just ain't adding up here. Malcolm-Jamal Warner, the guy we all knew and loved from The Cosby Show, reportedly drowned while trying to save his daughter during a vacation in Costa Rica. A heroic story, sure. But Katt Williams, he's not buying it. And honestly, after hearing what he had to say, you might not either. Katt's been sounding the alarm for years. If you're a black man in Hollywood and you refuse to play their twisted little games, they'll shut you out hard. And when you take a closer look at Malcolm's career, that theory starts making a whole lot of sense.
Every day, you're tired of seeing these people's faces, but going to the studio, it's not like that, because since working is fun to me, it's I don't consider it a job, but still my hobby. So, getting paid to do something that's fun, and then going to work and you have these nice people here. I like it a lot.
Malcolm wasn't just about the fame. He didn't crave the spotlight, and he sure wasn't about to sell his dignity for a quick check. He said no to clown roles, no to the dress-wearing joke of the week typecasting that too many black men in Hollywood get pushed into. He stood his ground. He kept it classy, real, and intentional, and that's exactly why the industry iced him out. Not because he lacked talent, everyone knows Malcolm had it, but because he refused to play along.
Malcolm-Jamal Warner's last video is such a powerful message of who he was as a person, and I think it's important for you guys to see one of his very last videos that he ever posted on social media before he passed.
What's good? Yes, I got the flower in my hair. Today's my daughter's birthday. She put the flower there, so I'm rocking it. What? It's a beautiful day here in Atlanta. I just wanted to shout out and just spread some love and some good cheer. And life is out here lifing, right? For me and for everybody else. But just wanted to remind you, as I remind myself, that no matter what's going on, there's always a reason to smile. Like if you just take a minute to stop and take stock, I guarantee you can find at least one reason to smile. And if for some reason you can't find a reason to smile, then that's probably the best time to be the reason for somebody else to smile. So, find a smile for yourself and be a reason for someone else to smile. That's all I got. Listen to love because it's been a minute. Peace and love, and I'll be back soon.
Now here's where it gets real shady. The moment he passed, suddenly every media outlet and celebrity starts singing his praises, calling him a legend, saying that he was underrated. Like, where was all that love before? Where were all those flowers when the man was alive and out here doing meaningful work on his own terms? This isn't some random conspiracy theory for clout. This is a pattern. And Katt Williams has been shouting about this pattern for years. The way Hollywood discards people who don't comply. He's been exposing it every chance he gets.
Gen Z be canceling people. Nobody canceled anybody from my generation and back. We didn't cancel people. We saw up all the time, but we minded our business, you know? You know what I'm saying? Y'all realize R. Kelly ain't go to jail till 2019? We knew he was up, but we was like, it's the remix to Ignition, hot and fresh out the kitchen. We didn't care. We saw up shit. We said, that's up, but it ain't my business, you know?
So let's talk about what Katt's been warning us about, what Malcolm really stood for, and why the praise didn't start until after the tragedy. Malcolm once admitted he spent much of his early life being celebrated on one hand, but paying too much attention to the naysayers. That alone tells you how complicated his relationship with the spotlight was. Now for the heartbreaking part. On July 20th, 2025, Malcolm was vacationing with his family in Costa Rica. He was swimming with his 8-year-old daughter when they got caught in a rip current. And this beach is known for dangerous waters. No lifeguards on duty that day because officials had pooled resources to cover other beaches after some recent incidents. Warning signs were posted, both in Spanish and English, including one showing how to survive a rip current. 2 surfers saw what was happening. One saved his daughter, the other tried to save Malcolm. But when help arrived, it was too late. Malcolm had drowned. Cause of passing, asphyxia by submersion. The man who tried to rescue him ended up in critical condition at a nearby hospital.
He was also like Enos's dad.
Gotcha.
So it wasn't. I mean, I would definitely say he was a mentor because he schooled me on a lot of things. But I love the father-son relationship between Cliff and Theo, but that wasn't our relationship. But we're mad cool, but it wasn't the father.
So here's what the autopsy confirmed. Malcolm-Jamal Warner's demise was ruled accidental. News outlets quickly reported that he drowned after getting caught in a dangerous rip current on a beach many described as a secluded paradise. But don't let that pretty name fool you. The beach is actually known for being seriously risky. A volunteer lifeguard group even compared it to other beaches with powerful, sneaky currents that can drag you under in seconds.
Did you look at Bill Cosby as a father figure? Because you were around him so much, you did so much acting, like
right.
And I mean, you were a good actor, but it was believable. It seems like you admired him as a father when I would watch the show, or even see you behind the scenes of the show, whatever.
Well, maybe I was doing theater. I was perfecting my craft.
One of the people running that lifeguard group, Mike Gist, he shared that while no lifeguards were officially working that day, one of the trained volunteers just so happened to be surfing nearby. That surfer ended up being the one who found Malcolm unresponsive in the water. The Costa Rican Red Cross also confirmed that another man was pulled from the waves alive, but in critical condition. The following morning, officials completed Malcolm's autopsy, and again it pointed to accidental drowning.
My craft at 9 years old.
Great job.
Right. No, because my father has always been an integral part of my life. So I have a father. He was, Mr. Cosby was obviously someone I worked with, someone I respected, but Enos was also, a close friend of mine. So he was also like Enos's dad.
Gotcha.
So it wasn't. I would definitely say he was a mentor because he schooled me on a lot of things. But I love the father-son relationship between Cliff and Theo, but that wasn't our relationship. But we're mad cool, but it wasn't the father figure.
Now, the reason Malcolm's passing shook so many people, it's because he was that rare child star who never spiraled. No scandals, no breakdowns. He stayed humble, focused, and grounded. He built his own empire, a self-made multimillionaire, Emmy-nominated actor, Grammy-winning musician, talented poet, director, and social activist. On top of all that, he had a strong marriage, no public drama, and was a devoted father to his daughter. In past interviews, He even shared how intentional he was about being a father. He knew he wanted a daughter first, someone who could soften him up, as he put it. He felt like having a girl would teach him patience and help him grow even more emotionally. And he brought that same care and maturity into parenting. He believed that raising a daughter meant starting with respect, empathy, and real understanding, and he always showed up for his family with that in mind. Everyone who worked with Malcolm said the same thing. He was loved, respected, and solid. He didn't just survive Hollywood, he set an example. But after 54 years of good health, he passed away suddenly during a family vacation in literal paradise. And that's the heartbreak. The only tragedy in Malcolm's life is that it ended too soon. Because in every other way he lived beautifully, with purpose, with grace, and with impact.
Circumstances of all. Everything was good, you're hanging out with your family, you're on vacation, you're making memories, and next thing you know, a rip current rips you away, and that's all she wrote. I honestly don't know what's worse. Something that's regrettable and reckless leaves you wondering why and how did we miss this and could this have been avoided. Something like this, though, is just like 1 minute you're good and the next minute you're gone. With your family there, and I'm sure they were trying to save you, and oh my God, that is absolutely gut-wrenching. Just one of those examples of how Mother Nature can be an absolute deadly force. So once again, rest in peace to Malcolm-Jamal Warner, gone at the age of 54, simply from a rip current while swimming with his family. Oh.
But the real conversation here, it's not just about how Malcolm passed. It's about how Hollywood completely ghosted him while he was still here, and how everything Katt Williams has been shouting for years now feels like it's all coming true. See, Malcolm didn't fade away. He didn't fall off. He just didn't play the Hollywood game. And after his time on The Cosby Show, he could have chased big network gigs, loud sitcom characters, or goofy slapstick roles. But instead, he kept it real and intentional. He said no to anything that made black men look like a joke. No dresses, no clowning, no over-the-top stereotypes. Malcolm wanted to represent something deeper, something honest.
The next day, all of the headlines read, Malcolm-Jamal Warner says the legacy of The Cosby Show has been tarnished. I'm like, that's not even
what you said.
Yeah. So then I remember a couple months later seeing Keisha on some talk show, and they asked her the same question. And she said, no, it's impossible to tarnish the legacy of that show because there's a generation of kids who sought out higher education because of that show.
Facts.
There are a generation of kids who grew up and got married and had loving families because of that show. There's no way that you can reverse the influence that that show has had on the culture. And so now I always bite her. Response now.
Malcolm was always embracing relationships with everybody he worked with.
And this is where Katt Williams enters the chat. He's been calling this out for years, on stage, in interviews, even on podcasts. He's always said that black entertainers get shoved into boxes. If you want to make it in that world, you have to play their game, wear their costumes, act the part. Katt pointed out how some stars don't even get flack for wearing dresses anymore because it's become such a cycle. Like he once said, Kevin Hart didn't have to worry about the backlash because there's already a long line of black men in dresses before him. From Big Mama's house to Medea. And now that it was Kevin's turn, no one batted an eye.
That's what they all end up saying at the end of the day. Kevin told you he wasn't going to wear no dress until...
No. Oh, no.
So they offered him the dress, and then he put it on. And what did he say after he wore it? I made my own decision. Duh. But you didn't make it before they brought it up, did you? It's okay. It's all right.
Many people have been saying that Kevin Hart was getting very uncomfortable in this interview because this interviewer brought up the topic of Dave Chappelle rejecting to wear a dress, and so he asked Kevin Hart if he's been asked to wear a dress, and he said this.
The industry, they tried to make him wear a dress. Have you ever ran into that with scripts, and is that something that, you wouldn't do, for
definitely haven't ran into to put on the dress. I mean, you have to have boundaries. You have to have limits that you refuse to cross. Protecting my brand is definitely a priority.
Well, fast forward a couple of years after that interview, and he's been seen wearing a dress for a TV show. He can do what he wishes, but let me know your thoughts on it.
But Katt, he didn't play that game. He didn't join the Illuminati, as he said, and he knew the cost of going against it. He claimed people like him and Dave Chappelle get punished for not complying. The media drags them, the public turns cold, and they're even made to look crazy. Katt even said that he was parodied on SNL 9 times, but never invited once. And not only that, they had a woman play him in one skit. That to him was shade. It wasn't just comedy, it was a message. But he wore that rejection like a badge of honor. He said people who love him know why they do. And those who don't, he gets it, because he's not part of the system.
Kevin Hart wearing a dress in the SNL skit. And Dave Chappelle spoke about that as a comedian. Black actors are always, being asked to wear dresses. Have you ran into that? And what do you think about that whole Illuminati theory that people put out there about that?
Well, thanks for that softball question. It's 2 answers. First of all, let's be very, very clear. It is possible that there isn't anything funnier than a...
And he put this dress on, and what? The prostitute? Nah, I'm not doing that. I don't feel comfortable with that. That should have been in the discussion. What? You don't feel comfortable with it? I mean, it's a hilarious bit. All the greats have done it. So, well, if all the greats have done it, it's kind of hacky, right? You're right. So why don't we just not do it? Because I don't feel comfortable wearing a dress. Oh, come on, Dave. Listen, we got it all set up. We're supposed to shoot. Every minute you waste costs this much money. The pressure comes in. He said, I'm not wearing no dress, man. I'm funnier than a dress. Just give me something funny to say. I don't need to wear no dress to be funny. What am I, Milton Berle? We're going like this. And then finally he's like, and he leaves. And then like the director comes, Dave, it really would be great if you wear the dress. What is wrong? What is this, Brokeback Mountain in here? So...
And just like Katt, Malcolm didn't fit their mold either. He was brilliant, grounded, and had real integrity. But that didn't align with Hollywood's formula. Since he refused to shuck and jive, or become the caricature they wanted, they pushed him aside. And here's the thing, Malcolm wasn't even mad. He didn't need Hollywood's approval. He created his own space. He launched a podcast called Not All Hood, where he spoke out against how the media always paints black folks with the same brush. He talked about how the culture isn't just one thing. He wanted people to understand that black communities are diverse, complex, and so much more than the stereotypes being pushed.
How does it feel, this sudden stardom?
It's great. I mean, it was nothing I was expecting. You think for a long time about how you want a series, and you never really expect it to be a big success, but no one knew it would be this big.
What do you like best about doing The Cosby Show?
Probably the people that I work with. Even though you go to school, you have to see these people every day, and you're tired of seeing these people's faces, but going to the studio, it's not like that, because since working is fun to me, it's I don't consider it a job, but still my hobby. So, I mean, getting paid to do something that's fun, and then, going to work and, you have these nice people here, I like it a lot.
Malcolm didn't give in to Hollywood's usual blueprint. Instead of playing along, he took a completely different path, one that focused on education, culture, and social justice. He poured his time into meaningful work, producing plays and documentaries that centered around black history and the realities of systemic racism. In 2021, he even wrote a powerful op-ed for the Television Academy. In it, he pointed out something a lot of people don't talk about, that even today, it's still mostly white executives, writers, and producers who shape how black characters show up on TV. And when black creatives do get a say, Malcolm said it usually just gives off the illusion of control, because even with better jobs or richer characters, the same stereotypes still slip through. But Malcolm wasn't just about what happened on screen. He also had a lot of say about what was happening in music, especially in hip-hop. He wasn't afraid to call it out. He felt like the genre, as powerful as it is, had become too comfortable with misogyny and toxic masculinity. He once said there should be a moratorium on using words like the N-word and the B-word in rap, because at this point, it's become lazy. Everyone does it. And for him, even some of his favorite artists weren't exempt. He admitted that he loved J. Cole, but had to stop listening at one point because hearing those words every couple of lines just felt beneath someone with Cole's talent. And when the Kendrick versus Drake beef exploded online, Malcolm wasn't impressed by all the hype. He called it out as part of a bigger issue, how mainstream media only pays attention to hip-hop when it's messy and harsh. He questioned whether we're really doing any good for the culture when the biggest headline in black music are about disses and threats. He believed that just because we tried to flip the power behind certain words doesn't mean the damage is gone. If the goal is to uplift your people, why keep using the same words that were created to tear them down? He argued that we can't just claim that we're turning negative words into something positive when our music doesn't match the energy. Once you strip away the beats and listen closely to the lyrics, so much of what's out there sounds anti-black. He said we've gotten to a point where you almost can't make a hit song without talking about narcotics, dropping slurs, or demeaning women, and that's a huge problem. Malcolm believed we need to slow down and remind ourselves that's not who we are, that's not all we are. So when Katt Williams talks about how the industry only lifts people up when they can control the story, you start to realize just how real that is. Malcolm didn't want to be a gimmick. He wanted to show the world that black men are intelligent, complex, and fully human. But instead of celebrating that, people boxed him in. They wanted him to stay the lovable teen star or take on silly sidekick roles. He said no. He walked away from projects that could have boosted his fame but didn't match his values.
Now, I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times just to protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right, because P. Diddy be wanting to party. All of these big dick deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is. T.G. Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way.
So Katt Williams said it. The lawsuit started coming out right after he said it, and he said all would be exposed. He heavily implied, and this is again an allegation, that Lucien Grange was having some sort of relationship with Diddy. So he is the person that controls Diddy, that Lucien Grange was aware of these parties, that Universal Music Group was aware of these parties, essentially that Diddy is the thug and the gangster working on behalf of Lucien Grange.
And while other black actors from his era leaned into stereotypes and cashed big checks, Malcolm took a different path. He stayed grounded, stayed intentional, and yeah, it came with a cost. In interviews, he even hinted that people on his team told him he wasn't marketable enough, too serious, too black, too smart, too honest. And just like that, the calls stopped coming. And that's exactly what Katt's been warning us about. If you don't play the fool or go through the humiliation ritual, they'll erase you.
Now, I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times just to protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right, because P. Diddy be wanting to party. All of these big dick deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is. T.G. Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way.
So Katt Williams said it. The lawsuit started coming out right after he said it, and he said all would be exposed. He heavily implied, and this is again an allegation, that Lucien Grange was having some sort of a relationship with Diddy. So he is the person that controls Diddy, that Lucien Grange was aware of these parties, that Universal Music Group was aware of these parties, essentially that Diddy is the thug and the gangster working on behalf of Lucien Grange.
Katt once said that it's not about how people feel about the ritual. The real question is, does it work? He told folks, you can lie to yourself and pretend that it's not happening, but the evidence is right there. When he brought up actors wearing dresses in Hollywood, people rolled their eyes and said, he's still on that? But he wasn't just talking about clothes. He's talking about a system, a pattern. And he challenged anyone to name one actor who put on a dress in Hollywood and didn't succeed. That's not a coincidence.
I did a movie, Where's the Money? You can check it out. There was a scene, they asked me to wear a dress. I ain't had no problem wearing a dress. I didn't care, but I knew the rumors. The rumors are black man wearing a dress. So I was like, I ain't wearing your dress. Get the on my trailer. And I didn't wear the dress. I wore a diaper instead.
Now that Malcolm is gone, the media suddenly just can't get enough of him. Articles are calling him a pioneer. Celebrities are posting throwback tributes. Streaming platforms are conveniently finding unreleased content with his name on it. Like clockwork, the man who was ignored for years is now being repackaged as the perfect, polished, posthumous black icon. But let's not get it twisted. This is the same man they overlooked while he was alive because he didn't chase clout or sell himself out. That's the game. They wait until it's safe to love you. Then they flip your image into something that makes them look good. It's not about honoring the person. It's about what they can gain now that that person isn't around to speak for themselves. And Katt Williams saw this coming. He's been calling it out. The system only uplifts black voices when it benefits them, and when those voices can't clap back anymore. So here's the real tea. Is all this love and praise from Malcolm actually genuine? Or is this just another Hollywood cleanup job? The truth is, Malcolm's refusal to play by the rules made him an easy target for being pushed aside. Not because he wasn't talented, but because he chose purpose over popularity. In an industry that rewards stereotypes and clout chasing, he stood firm in who he was. And now his passing reminds us of how rare that kind of integrity really is. So what do you think? Was Malcolm pushed out for keeping it real? Why does it always take a demise for Hollywood to finally care? Malcolm-Jamal Warner lived a life full of purpose, not performance. And maybe that's exactly why he was pushed to the sidelines. Now that he's gone, the same system that ignored him is scrambling to rewrite his legacy. But are we really buying it? Is this sudden praise authentic or just another PR move? And how many more principled artists will be silenced before we start listening while they're still here? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because we've got more untold truths coming your way.